It's time to think back to a fond time, a time of quality entertainment on television, but also a time of entertainment that the world probably would have been better off without. The time of childhood television. I'm going to reminisce about the 5 best children's TV shows that lots of people know and love. These shows stay in the hearts of millions even as they grow up. Now, there may be some who disagree with this list, but I'll just say that this is my own opinion, and therefore, it's correct. So, without further ado, here's the top 5 children's TV shows in no particular order. Number 1. SpongeBob SquarePants. The whimsical adventures of a sponge living in a pineapple under the sea and working as a fry cook at the Krusty Krab in Bikini Bottom. I'm sure there are very few people who grow up in the 2000s and didn't watch SpongeBob. Although there are some who can't stand his squeaky voice or his iconic annoying laughter, I think it's safe to say that SpongeBob SquarePants has soaked up most people's affection with his naive, quirky attitude. The goofy nature of the show, its collection of lovable side characters, from the "my leg" guy to Gary's apathetic meow, and a message that everyone should just be themselves, puts SpongeBob SquarePants deservingly in the top 5. Number 2. Drake and Josh. 2 teenage stepbrothers, Drake and Josh, with opposite personalities, living together and getting caught up in all sorts of hilarious situations, all the while dealing with their little sister who is constantly trying to play tricks on them. Drake and Josh is not only a kid favorite, but a parent favorite as well. Its silliness appeals to the younger audience, but its maturity and clever script allow parents to finally enjoy watching one of their kids' TV shows. Drake and Josh displays a comical yet deep relationship between brothers, but also shows the trials and tribulations of adolescence. For its popularity and its brilliance, Drake and Josh makes it into the top 5. Number 3. Adventure Time. A boy named Finn and his magical stretchy dog, Jake, go on all sorts of adventures in the strange candy land of Oo. They meet all sorts of crazy people and are always trying to stop the Ice King from kidnapping princesses. This show may be a bit more controversial compared to others due to its humor and concept, but I think Adventure Time is one of the best TV shows out there. It is a show that embraces the random. You never know what you're going to get with an episode of Adventure Time. At first, the show was episodic, with something new and random happening in each episode, focusing on the goofy characters and phantasmal setting. But as the show progressed, it became much more in-depth and created a compelling and interesting backstory and progressive storyline for Finn, Jake, the Ice King, the Land of Oo as a whole, and many other characters. Although it became nearly impossible to understand what was going on unless you had seen the previous episode, Adventure Time became very interesting and developed an outstanding plot. For my love of it, as well as many others', Adventure Time lands a spot in the top 5. Number 4. Phineas and Ferb. I remember waking up in the morning, eating my breakfast, and watching Phineas and Ferb before school. Although the characters never aged, and their summer vacation never seemed to end, Phineas always knew what he and Ferb were going to do that day. Each episode always follows a pattern of Phineas and Ferb creating some giant invention or event, and their sister Candace trying to bust them for it. And then Dr. Doofenshmirtz, an evil scientist creating his latest somethinginator, which somehow destroys all of the evidence of Phineas and Ferb's creation, with Phineas's pet platypus Perry, who was a secret agent, in turn destroying Doofenshmirtz's inator. Even though each episode follows the structure, the show is never boring. There is always a song to sing along to, and the characters are very enjoyable. Because, who doesn't love Perry the platypus? Wait, where is Perry? Anyway, this show's characters, style, and occasional breaking of the fourth wall make it a favorite of many and puts it in the top 5. Number 5. Avatar: The Last Airbender. The story of siblings Katara and Sokka who found a boy in an iceberg who was destined to be the new Avatar, master of all 4 elements of water, earth, fire, and air, and keeper of the peace between the 4 nations. Avatar was the first show that I have ever binge-watched. If you are willing to watch the show from the beginning to the end, then it is no doubt one of the greatest shows to exist on television. With a sort of Japanese animated style, people of all ages love Avatar. There are very few animated shows on Western television that have a story as great and enticing as Avatar does. It's funny, dramatic, action-packed, and even romantic at times. It has something to appeal to everyone. It teaches many things about growing up, dealing with the past, and overcoming mighty hardships. There are an uncountable number of characters that viewers can connect to and fall in love with. There is so much good to say about this series that it is hard to find the proper words to describe it. Just go watch it for yourself if you haven't already, and if you have, go watch it again. I know I want to. So for many, many, many reasons, Avatar: The Last Airbender undoubtedly is in the top 5, but not the live-action movie. We don't talk about that. So that was the top 5 best children's TV shows. If you disagree with some of the items on this list, or think that another show should have been on here, complain about it yourself, because there's nothing you can do about it. Moving on to the opposite end of the spectrum, the bottom 5 children's TV shows. In the top 5 list were shows geared towards a slightly older child audience, while the bottom 5 shows are all geared towards more of a toddler or very young child audience. Why is this, you say? Well, it's because people just don't know how to make quality toddler programming. Again, this is my own opinion, so it is correct. Here's the list of the bottom 5 children TV shows in no particular order. Number 1, Teletubbies. Weird alien-looking doll children who play together and somehow entertain little children. Every time I see images from this show, I get a chill down my spine, especially the weird baby sun thing. Ugh. Did the creators think, let's create a show with the creepiest characters we can think of so we can scar little kids for life? Why is it when people come up with ideas for children's TV shows, they always come up with things that they say, teach fundamental necessities, but in reality just bombard the kids' brains with useless information and colorful dancing shapes? What is the purpose of that? Teletubbies is one of those shows that makes no sense and have no significant value on young children's brains. Why not make a show that not only little kids like, but older kids and parents can tolerate and see how it is beneficial to small children? My uncomfort with this show and its senselessness puts it in the bottom 5. Number 2, Barney and Friends. A big, creepy purple dinosaurs who, with his friends, a mixture of real children and other big, creepy dinosaurs, sing and play and really freak me out. I have despised this show ever since I was in the age group it was directed towards. It as well falls under that category of shows that claim it is teaching fundamental necessities, but really it's just a bunch of kids dancing around with a creepy purple dinosaur. Okay, I admit that songs help information get stuck in young minds, but teaching kids to love everyone around them not only is really weird, but acts as a sort of societal brainwash to teach kids at a young age to act fake to everyone and do what everyone else is doing. There are so many problems with Barney, but I don't think anything surpasses the fact that it's just creepy as heck and rubs people the wrong way. For this reason, and many others, I think it is safe to say that Barney and Friends belongs in the bottom 5. Number 3, Dora the Explorer. A little Spanish girl named Dora, who, along with her monkey friend Boots, her talking map, and her talking backpack, go on adventures to different places with the help of the audience, and always have to stop the sly swiping fox, Swiper, from stealing their things. Now, I admit that I used to watch Dora when I was little. I used to sing along to the songs and answer her when she asked questions, but even me as a kid would say, "What do you mean, where is it, Dora? It's right behind you. Maybe if you turn around and were aware of your own surroundings instead of relying on others, you would be able to see it." Well, maybe not that exactly, but it was the same sort of point. Kids' TV shows like this try to teach things to the audience, like was said before, see a common trend here, but fail at doing so properly. With a show like Dora, sure, I may have learned things, but why did it have to be in a way that made Dora and everyone watching her seem stupid? I think 4-year-olds are capable of more than pointing to a flashing thingy on the screen. And the whole swipe or no swiping thing is telling kids that people doing bad things will stop by someone telling them to. That's just not true in reality. Children's TV shows need to try to teach kids about reality in a gentle way, but not a way that makes it all seem lollipops and rainbows. Because it fails to do that, and is hard to watch after a certain age, Dora the Explorer is put in the bottom 5. Number 4, Caillou. I've never actually watched Caillou, but the internet tells me that others consider it one of the worst child television shows out there. It's about a 4-year-old named Caillou who uses his imagination with his friends, but is also super whiny. First, why make the main character, who is 4, bald? Is it to emphasize there are all sorts of people out there and you shouldn't judge them for who they are? Maybe, but the show doesn't make an effort to support this point at all. Caillou is just a bratty kid who seems to do whatever it takes not to listen. His constant whining is definitely not a good role model for small children to look up to, and gets on the nerves of those who are watching with the kids. Why would you make a character so annoying to the point of making the controller of the remote want to turn off the TV? The theme of using your imagination is a good one, but the annoying characters ruin it, and they put this show into the bottom 5. Number 5, Yo Gabba Gabba. Similarly to Caillou, I've never watched Yo Gabba Gabba. I was a little too old for it when it came out, and whenever I saw a commercial for it, I thought to myself, I'll make sure to avoid this show at all costs. It's a show centered around music with its tackily dressed hosts and its entourage of weird monsters. It may have celebrity guest stars, but I'm sure the amount of money they were offered to guest star must have been pretty high for them to have agreed to it. I do think music is important for young minds, but what is the point of having people in big furry monster costumes? Haven't kids' TV show creators learned their lesson with people in big creepy costumes? The amount of silliness allowed should be limited in children TV shows because past a certain point, it just gets out of hand. I'm not against weird things, but Yo Gabba Gabba is just too much. Its extreme strangeness and cringe factor are what puts it in the bottom 5. A way needs to be created to entertain children, teach children, and not torture parents at the same time. Little children's TV shows should take a lesson out of the book of the list of quality kids' TV shows. Although they may be directed to an older audience, some aspects can be implemented into the smaller children's shows to make them not horrible. And there you have it, the top 5 and bottom 5 lists of children's TV shows. I hope you all learned a valuable lesson today and had as much fun thinking back to these great and not so great shows as I did. Thanks for watching. Oh, there you are, Perry.